In a small village in the heart of Africa, surrounded by dense forests and rolling hills, there lived a man known as the Palm-Wine Drinkard. He was famous throughout the land for his extraordinary love of palm wine, a sweet and potent drink made from the sap of palm trees. Every day the drinkard would enjoy the wine tapped fresh by his loyal palm wine tapster, who was not only skilled in his craft but also a dear friend to the drinkard. The drinkard's life was one of leisure and joy, filled with the merry times he spent drinking palm wine and sharing stories with his fellow villagers. He owned many palm trees, and his tapster ensured that he never lacked for his beloved drink. However, fate took a cruel turn when the tapster suddenly fell ill and died. The drinkard was devastated. Not only had he lost a friend, but his supply of palm wine was now in jeopardy. Desperate and determined to continue enjoying his beloved drink, the drinkard decided to embark on a journey to find the dead's town and bring his tapster back to life. With a heavy heart and a hopeful spirit, he set off into the unknown, guided by the desire to reclaim his lost happiness. He knew that the journey ahead would be fraught with dangers and challenges, but his love for palm wine and his friendship with the tapster gave him the strength to face whatever lay ahead. As he ventured deeper into the forest, the drinkard encountered strange and magical creatures. Some were friendly and offered him guidance, while others posed threats that tested his courage and resolve. Yet the thought of reuniting with his tapster kept him going. The forest was dark and full of whispers, but he pushed forward, each step taking him closer to the dead's town. The deeper the drinkard ventured into the forest, the more mystical and foreboding it became. The trees seemed to whisper secrets in a language he could not understand, and shadows danced around him, playing tricks on his eyes. He knew he had entered the forest of 1,000 spirits, a place where the living rarely dared to go. The spirits of the forest were curious about the drinkard's mission. They watched him from behind trees and rocks, murmuring amongst themselves. Sensing his determination and the purity of his quest, some spirits decided to test his worthiness. They appeared before him in various forms, some as beautiful maidens, others as terrifying monsters. One evening, as the drinkard rested under a large baobab tree, a spirit in the form of an old man approached him. The spirit's eyes glowed with an eerie light, and his voice was deep and resonant. "Why do you wander through this forbidden forest, mortal?" the spirit asked. The drinkard, though startled, responded with honesty. "I seek the dead's town to bring back my palm wine tapster. Without him, I cannot enjoy the wine that brings me joy." The spirit nodded thoughtfully. "Your quest is noble, but the path you tread is fraught with peril. You must prove your worth by passing 3 tests. Only then will the spirits allow you to continue your journey." The drinkard agreed without hesitation, and the old man transformed into a wisp of smoke, vanishing into the night. The first test came soon after. A fierce storm descended upon the forest, with winds howling and trees bending under the force. The drinkard had to find shelter and survive the night without succumbing to the elements. He found refuge in a cave and, despite the cold and the fearsome noises outside, managed to stay safe until dawn. The second test involved a labyrinth of illusions. The drinkard found himself in a maze where the paths constantly shifted and changed. He was taunted by phantoms and misled by false trails. Using his wits and unwavering focus on his goal, he navigated the maze and emerged unscathed. The final test was a trial of compassion. He encountered a wounded deer caught in a hunter's trap. Though his mission was urgent, the drinkard paused to free the animal and tend to its wounds. The grateful deer turned out to be a spirit in disguise, and it guided him out of the forest, leading him to the edge where the dead's town awaited. With the forest of 1,000 spirits behind him, the drinkard stood before the imposing gates of the dead's town. The gates were tall and made of a dark, twisted metal that seemed to absorb the light around it. Skulls and bones adorned the entrance, a grim reminder of the finality of death. The air was thick with the smell of decay, and an eerie silence hung over the place. Gathering his courage, the drinkard approached the gates. As he reached out to push them open, a figure materialized before him. It was the gatekeeper, a tall, gaunt being with hollow eyes that seemed to pierce through the soul. "Who dares to enter the realm of the dead?" the gatekeeper's voice echoed, sending shivers down the drinkard's spine. "I am the Palm-Wine Drinkard," he replied, "and I seek to bring back my tapster who died and left me without my beloved palm wine." The gatekeeper's eyes narrowed. "Many have come here with similar desires, but few have returned. The dead belong to the dead's town, and the living have no place here. However, if you can pass the trials of the underworld, you may have a chance to reclaim your tapster." The Drinkard nodded resolutely, and the gates creaked open, revealing a path shrouded in mist. He stepped through, feeling a chill run down his spine as the gates closed behind him with a thunderous boom. The path led him through a desolate landscape filled with shadows and echoes of the past. The spirits of the dead wandered aimlessly, lost in their own memories and regrets. As he walked, the Drinkard encountered 3 guardian spirits, each more formidable than the last. The first guardian was a giant, towering over him with a menacing glare. "You must defeat me in a battle of strength," the giant bellowed. Despite the giant's immense size, the Drinkard used his agility and wit to outmaneuver him, eventually bringing the giant to his knees. The second guardian was a sly and cunning spirit who challenged the Drinkard to a game of riddles. "Answer my riddles correctly, or be lost in the underworld forever," the spirit hissed. The Drinkard listened carefully to each riddle and, drawing upon his knowledge and wisdom, solved them all, much to the spirit's chagrin. The final guardian was a sorrowful apparition who demanded the Drinkard face his deepest fears. He was confronted with visions of his own mortality and the loneliness that awaited him. It was a harrowing experience, but the Drinkard's love for his tapster and his unyielding spirit allowed him to overcome his fears. Having passed the trials, the Drinkard reached the heart of the dead's town. There, surrounded by a circle of ancient spirits, he saw his tapster. The tapster's face lit up with recognition and hope. "You came for me," the tapster whispered, his voice filled with gratitude. The Drinkard's heart leaped with joy at the sight of his tapster, but he knew that his quest was far from over. The ancient spirits encircling the tapster were not pleased with his presence. Their faces were stern, and their eyes glowed with an otherworldly light. One of the spirits, who seemed to be the leader, stepped forward. Her voice was like the rustling of dry leaves. "You have shown great courage and determination, mortal, but the dead cannot simply be taken from our realm. A bargain must be struck." The Drinkard bowed respectfully. "What must I do to bring my tapster back to the world of the living?" he asked. The spirit leader considered his question carefully before responding. "You must offer something of equal value to the life you seek to reclaim. The balance between the living and the dead must be maintained." The Drinkard thought deeply. He had little of material value to offer, but he realized that the spirits valued experiences and stories as much as tangible goods. "I offer the tales of my adventures and the wisdom I have gained on this journey," he proposed. "In return, I ask for my tapster's life." The spirits murmured among themselves, weighing the Drinkard's offer. Finally, the leader spoke again. "Your stories and experiences are indeed valuable, but they are not enough. You must also agree to share the knowledge you gained from your tapster's revival with the world. Spread the wisdom of life and death so that others may learn from your journey." The Drinkard agreed to the terms, understanding the gravity of the promise he was making. With a wave of her hand, the spirit leader summoned a glowing orb of light. "This orb contains the essence of life. Use it to revive your tapster, but remember your vow." Taking the orb carefully, the Drinkard approached his tapster. As he touched the orb to the tapster's chest, a warm, radiant light enveloped them both. The tapster's eyes fluttered open, and he took a deep breath, as if awakening from a long slumber. Tears of joy filled the Drinkard's eyes as he embraced his friend. The spirits watched silently, their expressions softening. The leader spoke once more. "Go now and fulfill your promise. Remember the lessons you have learned and share them with the world. May your lives be filled with wisdom and compassion." With that, the Drinkard and his tapster found themselves back in the forest, standing at the edge of the village. The journey had changed them both, and they were eager to return to their home and share their experiences with the villagers. The Drinkard and his tapster stood at the edge of the forest, looking out over their village. The journey had taken its toll, but it had also strengthened their bond and filled them with a newfound sense of purpose. They walked the familiar path back to the village, their hearts light with the knowledge that they had succeeded in their quest. As they approached, the villagers were astonished to see the tapster alive and well. They gathered around, eager to hear the tale of the Drinkard's journey. The Drinkard recounted his adventures in the forest of 1,000 spirits and the trials he faced in the dead's town. He spoke of the bargain with the spirits and the promise he had made to share the wisdom he had gained. The villagers listened with rapt attention, their faces reflecting a mix of wonder and admiration. The Drinkard story was a testament to the power of friendship, determination, and the willingness to face one's fears. It was a story that would be told and retold for generations, becoming a cherished part of their cultural heritage. The tapster, too, had his own tales to share. He spoke of his experiences in the dead's town, the lessons he had learned about life and death, and the importance of living each day to the fullest. His words resonated deeply with the villagers, inspiring them to appreciate the simple joys of life and the bonds they shared with one another. In the days that followed, the Drinkard and his tapster resumed their daily routines, but with a renewed sense of purpose. The Drinkard continued to enjoy his palm wine, but now he did so with a deeper appreciation for the hard work and dedication of his tapster. The tapster, in turn, was more mindful of the precious gift of life and the importance of his role in the village. Together, they hosted gatherings where they shared their stories and the wisdom they had gained. These gatherings became a beloved tradition, bringing the community closer together and fostering a spirit of unity and mutual respect. The Drinkard's quest had not only brought his friend back to life, but had also enriched the lives of everyone in the village. The Drinkard and his tapster's return brought a new era of learning and growth to their village. Inspired by their experiences, they decided to establish a school where both young and old could come to learn about the lessons of life and death, the importance of courage, and the value of compassion. The school became a center of knowledge and wisdom, attracting people from neighboring villages who came to hear the stories and teachings of the Drinkard and his tapster. They taught about the balance between life and death, emphasizing that every moment was precious and should be lived with purpose and gratitude. One of the most important lessons they imparted was the concept of the 3 trials, which symbolized the challenges everyone faces in life. The storm of adversity, just as the Drinkard had survived the fierce storm in the forest of 1,000 spirits, they taught that everyone would face difficult times. The key was to remain steadfast and seek shelter in one's inner strength and the support of loved ones. The labyrinth of illusions, the maze, represented the confusion and distractions of life. The Drinkard's journey through the labyrinth taught the importance of staying focused on one's goals and not being misled by false promises or fears. The trial of compassion, the act of saving the wounded deer, highlighted the power of kindness and empathy. They emphasized that true strength lies in caring for others, and that every act of compassion enriches both the giver and the receiver. The Drinkard and his tapster also encouraged storytelling as a means of preserving history and imparting wisdom. They organized storytelling sessions where villagers could share their own experiences and learn from one another. These sessions became a cherished tradition, fostering a sense of community and continuity. The teachings of the Drinkard and his tapster had a profound impact on the village. People began to live with greater awareness and appreciation for the present moment. They learned to face their fears with courage and to support one another through difficult times. The village flourished, becoming a beacon of wisdom and harmony in the region. Years passed, and the Palm-Wine Drinkard and his tapster grew older. Their teachings and stories had become an integral part of the village's culture, and their legacy was ensured through the generations they had inspired. The school they had founded continued to thrive, with new teachers and storytellers carrying on their work. The Drinkard and his tapster often sat together under the shade of a large baobab tree, reflecting on their journey and the impact it had on their lives and their community. They took pride in knowing that their experiences had brought about such positive change and had touched the lives of so many people. One day, as they sat reminiscing, the Drinkard turned to his tapster and said, "We have done well, my friend. Our journey was not in vain. We have brought more than just palm wine back to this village. We have brought wisdom, compassion, and a sense of purpose." The tapster nodded in agreement. "Indeed we have. And it is a joy to see our teachings live on in the hearts of our people. We have shown that even in the face of great challenges, one can find strength and meaning." Their conversation was interrupted by a group of children who came running up to them, eager to hear another story. The Drinkard and his tapster smiled, their hearts warmed by the sight of the young faces filled with curiosity and wonder. They began to tell the tale of their journey once more, each word infused with the love and wisdom they had gained. As the sun set and the village gathered for the evening storytelling session, the Drinkard looked out over the crowd. He saw the faces of those he had come to love, united by the stories and lessons that had become their guiding light. He knew that his legacy would live on, not just in the tales he told, but in the lives he had touched and the hearts he had inspired. The day came when the Palm-Wine Drinkard and his tapster were no longer able to tell their stories. Their bodies had grown frail, and they knew their time in the world of the living was coming to an end. The village, now a vibrant and thriving community, gathered to honor them and celebrate the legacy they had created. On a warm, moonlit night, the villagers held a grand feast under the stars. They sang songs, danced, and shared stories in honor of the Drinkard and his tapster. It was a night filled with joy and gratitude, a testament to the profound impact these two had made on their lives. As the night drew to a close, the Drinkard and his tapster sat together one last time under the baobab tree. The Drinkard took his friend's hand and smiled. "Our journey has come full circle, my friend. We have lived well and loved deeply. Our spirits will always be a part of this village." The tapster squeezed the Drinkard's hand and nodded. "We have indeed. And though we may leave this world, our stories and the lessons we have taught will live on forever." With those words, they closed their eyes and peacefully passed away, their spirits rising to join the ancestors. The villagers, upon discovering their passing, were filled with sorrow but also with a deep sense of reverence. They knew that the Drinkard and his tapster had become eternal spirits, watching over them and guiding them with the wisdom of their stories. The village continued to thrive, a place of learning, compassion, and community. The teachings of the Palm-Wine Drinkard and his tapster remained at the heart of their culture, a reminder that even in the face of death, the spirit of love, courage, and wisdom endures. And so, the tale of the Palm-Wine Drinkard and his tapster was passed down through the generations, a story of friendship, determination, and the eternal power of the human spirit. The Drinkard's name became legendary, not just for his love of palm wine, but for the legacy of wisdom and compassion he left behind. There are a lot of lessons to be learned from this story. I would love to hear your opinion in comment section. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to like, share, and press the red button to subscribe to my channel. Bye.